Previous class, we were discussing the five levels of existence or the five subtle divisions in the human personality. As the Upanishad says, we have a gross body, Annamay Kosha or Annamay Sharira. We have a vital body or the body which enables the Annamay Sharira to function, the functional or the vital body, which is known as Pranamay Kosha. Then we have Manomay Kosha, we discussed that also, the reactive mind, which gives us inputs through the sense organs of the outside world, and then it reacts to the outside input, the different inputs through the different senses. We see, we hear, we smell, and all the indriyas, they give us uh, they feed us daily. At every moment, they give us a lot of inputs, and based on the inputs, we react. So that is the function, primary function of the Manomay Kosha, or the third level, or the third subtle level of our human personality. Then we finally discussed, which will conclude today, is the Vijnanamay Kosha, the higher mind, or the intelligent sheath, or the intelligent part of the mind, which takes decisions, which operates through the mind, through the Manomay Kosha, through the Pranamay Kosha, and also the physical sheath. So they can be considered as concentric selves. The different selves, different aspects of our personality in increasing order of subtlety. The one which is very gross is what is perceivable by us, by others. We see a human body, when a human approaches us, primarily we see him as a body. But if you go a little deeper, we see that human body is made of certain forces. It breathes, if it is a living body, it is not a dead body. Then we see the functional or the pranamaya kosha also functioning within the annamaya kosha. These two are very clear to all of us. And obviously, we assume that every human being, since it reacts to external stimulus and also reacts in different ways, depending on the manomaya kosha. Somebody's manomaya kosha may be highly developed, so it reacts in a very uh, sharp way. Its impulses or its reactions to external stimulations are much more sharper than other human beings. So, depending on the level of manomaya kosha which is developed in a human personality, the skills, the skill sets, the reactions that a person has, how informed he is, how educated he is in different skills, how does he react? A person can be very dull because his manomaya kosha is very dull. He may be mentally retarded. We say a person is mentally retarded, he is not reacting the way others react because of the deficiency in the manomaya kosha. But there is a fourth level, which is very important for our spiritual life, that is known as Vijnanamaya Kosha. We discussed it has three functions. Last time we discussed the function which I'll just repeat because they are very important. The three functions which we discussed last time of the Vijnanamaya Kosha is the first is intellect sheath, which is it has three powers, three basic powers which distinguish it from other animals and lower human beings. People who have a highly developed Vijnanamaya Kosha, which is the higher aspect of the mind, that is where our spiritual life begins. First is it is endowed with the power of knowledge. So it is known as Jnana Shaktiman, Kartri Rupa. So that knowledge gives it a kind of agency that I should do this or I should not do this. It does not merely react, but reacts in a very well informed way. it makes the right choices, it knows when to react, when not to react, then that intellect sheath, Manomay Shakti, Manomay Kosha, which is slightly lower than the Vijnanamay Kosha, is endowed with the power of will. So even though a person may decide either to react or not to react, he has to give the signal to its lower body, that is the Manomay Kosha. The Vijnanamay Kosha tells the Manomay Kosha, now you exercise your will and follow my instructions, because now I want you to react. But if one is at the Manomay Kosha level only, then he will react as if there is an action and a reaction. Like animals, they just instinctive in their reaction. They don't think and react. So that's the basic difference between using the knowledge intellect sheath or the Vijnanamay Kosha and reacting using the Manomay Kosha, a lower, with the help of the willpower that is developed. So that's why they say when you strengthen the mind through discipline, through austerity, through some kind of mental discipline, you strengthen the willpower. And when you take a right, you know what is right, what is wrong, but then still you have to implement it. You may know the Vijnanamaya Kosha may tell you that this is the rightful way of living. But to actually live, you have to take the help of a lower faculty of your mind, that is Manomaya Kosha, and that will give instructions to the organs, the Karmendriya, and they will say that now you have to act in a particular way. So it is just it's Karana Rupa, its lower mind acts as an instrument of the higher mind to carry out its functions. So the higher mind will tell you whether to act or not to act. But to really make that person act, he has to come down one level. And then comes the Kriya Shaktiman Karya Rupa. The power of activity is the mind then instructs the Pranamaya Kosha, which is one level lower than it. And he says the mind is the instrument, but the actual work is done by the Pranamaya Kosha, the living forces in our body. They will tell you because they are of the nature of work. The final activity is what you see. So the knowledge part of our mind gives us instructions what to do, what not to do. It gives the instructions to its subordinate, that is the mind. And the mind instructs the pranamaya kosha. And then finally, the pranamaya kosha manipulates the body so that action takes place. This we discussed last time. We are not repeating that, how it happens and all those things. But now we come to this particular Vijnanamaya Kosha, the fourth level of our personality, is what we call as Vyavaharika Jiva. When you say a person is when you talk in spiritual terms, our real person is the Vijnanamaya Kosha. When we reach the Vijnanamaya Kosha, because all other animals and living beings, they more or less have the Manomaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, and the Annamaya Kosha. There's nothing special, but human beings are special because it has that sense of agency that I should do this, I should not do this. It is wise on my part to take this particular decision and not just be like animals in my impulse. If I'm just impulsive and behave on impulse, then my nature or my higher nature is not developed. So that is where spirituality distinguishes one human being from another human being. That he has risen from living at the Manomaya Kosha level, which he shares with the animals and other lower beings, lower human beings. But before the mind reacts in a very instinctive way, the higher mind has full control. It tells the lower mind what to do, what not to do, when to do a particular thing, whether it is good for you or bad for you. It can also discipline the mind. It can also discipline the prana. It can discipline. So the whole is control mechanism is with the Vijnanamaya Kosha. So that is why this empirical self, this is what in Vedanta is known as Vyavarika Jiva, the one which really operates our mental Manomay Kosha, the Pranamay Kosha, and Annamay Kosha. And beyond them, so what is the self? That is just a empirical self, means the what we know as self is far deeper than that, even that. Now we'll come to the last kosha, which is known as Anandamay kosha. What is its nature? Because the reflection of the ultimate self of a human being, when we go deep within to find out what our real self is, in moments of deep meditation, maybe for a fraction of a second, you touch your inner self. And that is when you get ananda or real joy. But unfortunately, it is not very common. That is why after hours and hours of meditation, maybe we will get a glimpse of that Anandamay Kosha. Even to live or uh, develop our personality to the Vijnanamay Kosha, the fourth level, is difficult. After constant prayers, after constant japa, after constant meditation, we try to live on this. We awaken the buddhi or the intelligent self. And then this intelligent self guides us properly to go to the higher level, which is Anandamay Kosha. So, this intelligent sheath, though it is far superior than the mental sheath, it does things in a more systematic, a more disciplined, and a more well informed way than the mind. If we leave our future to our lower mind, the Manomay Kosha, then we are not better than animals. We'll be leading instinctive lives. All our life we will be just acting and reacting, and will be considered as very rude people or very highly, you may say, reactive people with absolutely no control over ourselves. So it requires a lot of development of human personality to stay at this Vijnanamay Kosha level, which is known as the intelligent sheath. Intelligence in the sense, not intelligent with intelligent skills. You see, for example, if a person is very well versed in many skills like computer skills, like surgical skills, like physical skills, like sports and other things, he may be very skilled, but that is still at the Manomay Kosha level because he is trained his reflexes in such a way that he can do things better, definitely can do better than untrained people because he has been practicing the skills again and again. So yesterday in Newcastle, uh, there was a topic how to practice spirituality in day-to-day life. So when it comes to spirituality, the idea of spirituality, there is one thing which is known as the idea of spirituality. What do you mean by spirituality? And that we get a lot of information from the Bible, the Quran, the Upanishad, the Gita, and all the scriptures tell you what spirituality is. But what it can do for us, that for that we need our development of the Vijnanamay Kosha, which not only informs us what it can do, but it really does. It takes the role of a decision maker and tells the mind, now you have to do this. You are not supposed to do this. And the mind should obey. Then the mind will further instruct the pranamaya kosha so that it gives the command to the body. So this phenomena is very nicely described by Swami Sharadananji in the Great Master, the biography of Sri Ramakrishna. He says, he uses a word because he was a doctor. He was trained to be, not trained, he almost became a doctor, but he gave up his studies because he wanted to serve Sri Ramakrishna. So after college, he did go to medical school for a few years. But he explained this as nervous association of ideas. This is something which I heard for the first time when I read. He says in Sri Ramakrishna's case, ideas were not ideas. We have many ideas, very good ideas about Brahman, about Atman, but they are not nervously associated with our body. We may think that we live in a Vijnanamaya Kosha level, but none of our instructions are followed by neither the mind, nor the body, nor the prana, nor the body. It's successively the instructions have to go to the nervous system, and the nervous system should exactly obey the mind or the buddhi. So buddhi should be in control. So buddhi has to decide the nervous association of the ideas, great ideas, spiritual ideas. They should not remain just in the brain as frozen ideas which are of no use. We may know everything about the Upanishad, everything about the Atman, but then what about it? Have those ideas uh, motivated our mind to develop our will so that we can really act according to what we think? So, has our idea become nervously associated with our physical system? When that happens, one really is in control of one's entire self. So, the reflection, but still, the Upanishad says that is not the highest level of our existence. It is just the witness self. The example that is given is the compare the self, the deep self within. Before you reach or identify with the self within, we identify ourselves with the buddhi, which is a reflected self. But even that is bright enough. Even if we reach that level, we can say we have awakened our buddhi, and with that awakened buddhi, we are far better human beings, as spiritual human beings, than ordinary human beings who may have a lot of skill sets, lot of manomaya kosha development, exceptional skills, physical skills, computer skills, many skills which enable them to do better than other human beings, but still their Vijnanamaya kosha has not been awakened. So they don't know why they are doing what they actually do in life. That is why there's a lot of sorrow in spite of the high skill sets they possess. So this witness self or Vyavarika self, which is the witness self, it is the Vijnanamaya kosha which appears that it is the doer, though it is not the doer. The doer is the innermost self, which we will see. The Mundakopanishad says the innermost sheath. There is a nice verse in the Mundakopanishad 2 to 9. Hiranmaye pare koshe virajam brahma nishkalam tat tu tat shubram jyotisham jyotishad atma vidu. That means the innermost self, which is still beyond the Vijnanamaya kosha. What we are seeing is we have reached after a lot of spiritual practice, we get a glimpse of that infinite self, which is of, here it is described as the innermost sheath of golden hue. Golden in the sense it is bright, it is illuminating. Dwells Brahman, the stainless, Nishkalam, stainless, it can never be stained by the stains of the world, and it is indivisible, it is one infinite whole. That Brahman is purity. That Shubram. Shubram means purity. He is Jyotisham Jyotisha. That is, he is the light of all lights. And that is what the knowers of Atman, the knowers of the self, testify. So the knowers of the self know the real self that is deep within. And that is what we intend to realize in our life. So now we come to the Anandamaya Kosha, which is the innermost self, which is still not the pure self, it is just a reflection, but the highest reflection in the human personality, The grossest and the lowest is the Annamaya Kosha. The slightly higher and more subtle is the Pranamaya Kosha, which makes the body living, as compared to a dead body, which also has a Annamaya Kosha, but the Pranamaya Kosha has left that Annamaya Kosha, so it doesn't function. So at the next level, which we share with animals, is this Pranamaya Kosha. And at that stage, a human being is full of life, full of vitality, but it requires a trained mind, a reactive mind, to make it more superior or superior to the other beings with which they share the Annamaya Kosha and the Pranamaya Kosha. So a highly skilled Manomaya Kosha, no matter what that skill is, it can be a skill which makes you excellent sportsman, a skill which makes you an excellent computer analyst or a surgeon or whatever skills you have. They're all skills which you develop as a result of repeatedly practicing in a disciplined way, telling the mind to guide your indriyas, the karmendriyas and the gyanendriyas, the sense organs, to function in a very systematic way. So it's just repeated practice. All repeated practice or repeated habits give rise to a very well-developed manomaya kosha. And we say a person is very skilled and is a very skillful person compared to other human beings. But that is only at the third level of his existence. He is far superior to human beings, no doubt, who have no skills whatsoever and just lives like a brute. But still, even the skilled person, if he cannot use his skills properly, which is the Vijnanamaya Kosha level, which makes him take the right choices so that he gets satisfaction from his skills rather than making the skills responsible for his misery. You know how skilled people, if they misuse their skills, can make themselves miserable. So that doesn't guarantee a highly skilled or a highly intelligent or a trained person with a highly developed manomaya kosha may not be the happiest person. He can be the most evil or the most disturbed person in the whole world. Because the more his mind develops and he more it is misdirected, he causes trouble for himself and for others. His intelligence helps him to enhance his evil qualities. That is what happened in the case of Duryodhana. When he was finally about to die, and he tells Sri Krishna that Janami Dharmam Nachame Pravrutti. I know what is Dharma. I'm intelligent enough. I have been given the same education as my cousins, the Pandavas and Dharmaraja and all. But somehow, mysteriously, I know what is good, but I cannot follow it. I know what is bad. I have enough intelligence to know what is evil, what is not conducive to my welfare, but somehow I don't seem to uh, go towards it. Janami adharmam nachame nivrit. I cannot give it up. Somehow that evil quality is there clinging to me. So that makes my all my skills redundant. So all those skills he has developed, which were as good as any other Kauravas or the Pandavas, he was a very skilled person. His Manomaya Kosha was developed definitely. He was also a trained fighter. But unfortunately, his Vijnanamaya Kosha did not allow him to take the right decisions, because of which, in spite of a highly developed Manomaya Kosha or the mental skills that he possessed, the skills proved to be disastrous, which led to destruction. So there is no guarantee that a highly intelligent person will be the most happy person or the most peaceful or the most fulfilled person in life. That's why we come to the Vijnanamaya Kosha, which helps us using our skills in the right way by making the right choices always in life. But even then, the happiness is not there. That's why our Upanishads say there is an Anandamaya Kosha in the Taittiriya Upanishad. you will find the description of what this highest level of human personality is, which explores new possibilities. That is when a person goes deep into meditation, when he transcends the Annamaya Kosha, seizes and the Pranamaya Kosha with the help of his mentally developed skills, he becomes better than animals, and then he becomes better than normal human beings because his Vijnanamaya Kosha is also awakened, and he uh, happens to make the right choices most of the time in his life. That leads to the next step, which is happiness and peace along with success. So if that Manomaya Kosha is developed, but the Vijnanamaya Kosha does not help that human personality, then his intelligence or his skill sets will make him more miserable than happy. So that is why the development of human personality or the exploration of human possibilities, according to Vedanta, which is the theme of our discussions on alternate Saturdays, is to understand that there are many possibilities: physical possibilities, mental possibilities, intellectual or the Vijnanamaya Kosha possibilities, which makes us commit less mistakes or less wrong choices in life, leading to the leading to a life centered around the Anandamaya Kosha. But what is this Anandamaya Kosha, which is the highest, the nearest to the ultimate self, the Atma, as we say? So this is the blissful sheath, and what it is, what are its properties, what does it do, how does it change our personality? So there is a verse from Taittiriya Upanishad 2.5. It says, Tasmat vai etasmat, as already explained. That is, already I have explained, Upanishad says, the fourth level of our personality is Vijnanamaya Kosha, Vijnanamayat, which is an intellectual sheath which has opened wonderful possibilities in our life, making our life more fulfilling, more not just skilled, but skilled with the right attitude and the power to make right choices. Vijnanamayat, which is after having developed, as already explained, that means tasmat vai etasmat, means we have already, the Upanishad says in the previous verse, it has described what Vijnanamaya Kosha is and what it does, what is capable of doing. But he says, having explained already that Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anya, there is different from the inner real self, is another self which is known as Anandamaya, constituted of Anandamaya, that is happiness, true happiness. Tena Esha Purna. So this Anandamaya Kosha is full of joy. Joy or peace, joy comes from peace. It is not restless, because even at the level of the Vijnanamaya Kosha, whenever we make the wrong choice, we lose our peace. Whereas if one is established in the Anandamaya Kosha, which is the innermost uh, self, Purusha Vida, it is of the form of Purusha Vida, in the form of a person. It gives us our identity, but what are its functions? It also gives us Purusha Vidatam. It has given us a human form. Anyway, we are human beings even otherwise, even if we don't realize that Anandamaya Kosha or the innermost self, we still behave as human beings, but lesser human beings than those who have touched or those who have reached that level, spiritual level, or who have explored the possibility of our that Anandamaya Kosha, Purusha Vidaha, that's why it says, it has a shape of a person. Tasya Priyam Eva Shiraha. It is indeed, joy is its head. Head means the top. Normally, when we say A head is somebody who, which is at the top. That means primarily it is made of joy. Anandamaya. Maya means full of joy. Anandamaya kosha, rejoicing, modaha. Dakshina Paksha, its right side is bliss, its left side is bliss, means it is bliss everywhere. In the Vijnanamaya Kosha level or Manomaya Kosha level, we will be oscillating between joy and sorrow. But here there is, everywhere there is joy, Anandamaya. That is why it is known as, that's why it's saying it's not only on one-sided joy, joy during certain situations and misery during certain situations. No, whether it is left or right, it is full of joy. That's a figurative way of telling it. There is joy on every side. Ananda, it is the trunk, it is the backside, it is immense everywhere about that. So, the meaning of this, then Shankaracharya tries to explain this in Vivek Chudamani. Vivek Chudamani is a text which explains the Upanishads in a language that is understandable, which is uh, more simple. Here it's a bit figurative. The Upanishad doesn't say everything in prose form. It's a poetry. It has the form of a poem or a poetry. So it uses such examples like on the left, on the right, on the top, right wing, left wing, everywhere, Brahman, and the tail also is full of joy. So these are all poetic words which has been used. So this different from this Vijnanamaya Kosha is the Anandamaya Kosha, which is full of bliss. By that, this Ananda is filled. I mean, the blissful Shiti is filled. The on the left is the intelligent sheath also has a human form. According to the human form of this, of the Anandamaya Kosha, its head is full of bliss, its right wing, the left wing, the trunk, and also the tail. Taking the example of a bird, the bird has a tail and it has the right and left wing. That means, imagine, that is why Sri Ramakrishna in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna he says, sometimes I meditate as if I am a fish swimming in water. Fish also has some kind of fins, which are like the two wings of a bird. Or he said, imagine that you are uh, flying in the vast open space. These are the meditation techniques he used using this Upanishadic, the figurative way Upanishad explains bliss. So imagine, he says, a bird floating in the vast infinite space full of joy. That's why they say left wing, right wing, tail, everything is full of bliss. So Shankaracharya says, now he gives an example. He does not explain these things with the help of this in a very figurative way. He goes to the real qualities of what this Anandamaya Kosha is. He says, Ananda Pratibimba, a reflection of the bliss. Still, he says, it is not the real self, which is full of Ananda. This is Ananda Maya, it is possessed of bliss. It is a reflection of the bliss of the Atman. It is softly touched by a vritti of joy. As long as the vrittis are there, the vrittis of joy come. They are come in waves, which has risen from tamas. So that is why Anandamaya Kosha is something which we experience in deep sleep. You know, there are three types of sleep. One is REM sleep, rapid eye movement. If it can be easily monitored when we go to sleep, our neurological activity, the activity of our mind can be divided into basically three. One is the deep sleep, which is say one third or even less than the total hours of sleep that we have. Then this rapid eye movement is there, and then we are dreaming. Most of the time we spend when we are sleeping is a dream state, which is not a very blissful state. It can be nightmares, it can be full of happiness also, but at the same time, it this blissful sheath, Anandamaya, it thrives or it lives on the attributes of pleasure or the objects of desire that one has when one is in the waking state, and it gives a sense of happiness. This Anandamaya kosha, it's not steady. Our sleep is not full of bliss. If it were full of bliss, then what is the difference between Brahmananda, that is when we realize the highest, that joy is continuous bliss. Whereas here he says this bliss alternates. When you have done good deeds which lead to good dreams, or that is what he says, anubhave, it anubhave vibhati, it appears to the fortunate people who have done a lot of good deeds. That is how they define that the quality of sleep, even in the Anandamaya Kosha level, the joy varies from person to person because it is based on the ignorance that one has. He has done some good deeds because of which he is enjoying the benefit of that. He is fortunate, Ananda Rupa, they are fortunate, they are blissful, and Nandati, they feel happy. Whereas others they feel pain because of their misdeeds, having nightmares. So it's not necessary that when one is in deep sleep, one is really enjoying. Only they say people of a very well developed spiritual person has restful sleep. So one of the signs of a disturbed personality is lack of sleep. So people have insomnia or whatever sleep they have, it is not of very high quality. So this Vivek Chudamani says, this blissful sheath, Anandamaya Kosha, varies from person to person. Though it is nearest, it is a reflection, it is still a modification of the Ajnana. Because if it was the modification of Jnana, the pure knowledge, then it would be unalloyed bliss. There would not be a mixture of misery and bliss. It is catching the reflection of the Atman, sometimes, not always, that is bliss absolute, whose attributes are joy and total rest, and which appears in view when some object, because the objects are still there. The person who goes to sleep and enjoys by some good fortune or some good misdeeds, or good deeds, not misdeeds, virtuous deeds, as opposed to misdeeds, which will give him pain even in sleep uh, through different nightmares that he might experience. So he says he spontaneously feels that he is very fortunate to enjoy good sleep because because of the fruition of the good deeds, of some good karma that he has done, and they derive great joy without the least effort. Now, this Anandamaya Kosha, deliberately it has been described as Anandamaya Kosha. That is why even the most evil of people, the most disturbed of person also wants sleep. He wants sleep because during deep sleep, because of the little good karma he has done, he feels himself, he hankers for deep sleeps to the extent of sometimes even taking tablets to force himself, which is an artificial way of reaching that state. Even though there is ignorance, there is some kind of reflected joy. It's even though it's a reflection of the real joy of the Atman. He says still it is not Ananda, but it is a reflection of that Ananda, and still every human being, every human personality hankers for this to stay in this Anandamaya kosha, that is, go into the state of deep sleep as opposed to dream and the waking state. Waking state, of course, is full of trouble. There are good times, there are bad times, and we have to deal with them. And in that state, it is our buddhi that helps us to make the most of the waking state. That is why they say whatever sadhana you have to do, that should be done with when you are fully awake, not in a dream-like state. Dream is a state where your willpower is not under your control. So whatever you do in the dream, in a dream state, that doesn't add to the karma. It's only when you can change your destiny by doing good karma when you are fully awake. So that those virtuous deeds where the kartrutva or the effort that you put, deliberate effort that you put to do good deeds, uh, to promote peace in your own life, that is reflected by way of good sleep. So without least effort, he gets a small sample of the great joy which is in the self. So that is the how Anandamaya Kosha has been described. And then he says, this blissful sheath has its fullest play during profound sleep, that is deep sleep, sushuptau, while in the dreaming and wakeful states, it only has a partial manifestation. Because we also get some joy, partial joy in the dream state, which is nothing compared to the deep state. That's why deep sleep is something which everybody hankers for, because that is the most enjoyable or the most joyful state of a uh, of a human being, which he otherwise cannot get during the waking and the uh, dream state. They are partial. So the jiva, we see each individual soul retains this threefold body. First, we divided the body into three. If you remember, that was several classes before we discussed the division of the body into five aspects. We have a threefold body. Threefold body is Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, and Karana Sharira. And consequently, we also described the fivefold division of the same body, same personality, as Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, and Anandamaya Kosha. So, when he is in the relative body or relative existence, they are not free because they have a little bit of ignorance, ajnana associated with them. So when he merges into non-dual Brahman, then he jumps from that Anandamaya Kosha, where he gets joy now and then, only when he is in deep sleep. That is why many of the people, some schools of Vedanta, they believed that if you extend this deep sleep state, you may reach Brahmagyana, which in most of the schools or most of the philosophies don't accept this fact because there is this ignorance. Even in the deep sleep, there is an ignorance. Only the memory of joy is there when he wakes up and the person says, oh, I had a very good sleep. And he feels happy that he had good sleep, he had undisturbed sleep. But what was the nature of that joy? He just has a faint memory, not like that of a realized soul. But once that person, by transcending the Anandamaya Kosha, he realizes his unity with the Brahman or the deep self within, then whether he has a threefold, whether he is aware of the threefold body or the fivefold classification of the body, he is known as a Jivan Mukta, one who is released or one who has realized the highest even while he is living. So this conception of Jivan Mukta is a very long discussion. How can one who people normally think that they reach the highest only when the body falls off? But if you see the lives of all these great saints, the great prophets, and the incarnations, they are an example of this Jivan Mukta. When they are in the threefold body, they have the Sthula Sharira like us, they have the Sukshma Sharira, they have the Karana Sharira, or they have the five koshas like us, but they are beyond. They experience something higher than these koshas. And they, at will, Swami Shardanand has beautifully explained in the Great Master that the difference between us and these incarnations is they can voluntarily come down to these five koshas and behave as if they are human beings, but at the same time they can withdraw and go to the highest. So they can withdraw. That is why when Sri Ramakrishna was suffering from cancer and when he was full of pain, he used to complain and tell the doctors and all. But one of his disciples, Swami Turiyanji, said, no, I somehow see behind this pain and all these things, your spirit or your attitude is full of joy. I see some great joy which you experience even in spite of being under the influence of these five koshas or the three bodies which make us bound to this world. So Sri Ramakrishna is very happy because he understood that this Hari Maharaj or Turyananda has seen through this bondage, which is apparent in the case of Avatara. It is just an apparent. He may wear the threefold body or the fivefold sheath, but he can always transcend them, and at will he can come down and experience the world as we do. So after true identification with the self, also the jiva assumes this body or acts as if it is assuming. That is why Shankaracharya in the Vivek Chudamani he says, this self-effulgent Atman, after having realized that, which is distinct from the five sheets, even from the Anandamay Kosha, and which is the witness of the three states, waking, dream, and dreamless sleep, the real, the changeless, the untainted, and everlasting bliss is to be realized by the wise person while he is still alive as one's own self. That means the idea of Jivan Mukti, though the Upanishad directly doesn't say anything about that, but definitely through Vivek Chudamani Shankaracharya tells us this is the goal of life. So we now conclude, we'll go to the next part of this. If there are some questions, you can ask, because we will now conclude this second part of the exploration of human possibilities, which is a very scientific way of approaching the different possibilities a human being is capable of exploring, because we hardly explore, as they say, 1/10 of what we are really capable of. The Upanishad says you just after exploring the first three levels, say Annamaya Kosha, physical possibilities, you either become a great sportsman or you become a great scientist. You still are at the third level. So our Vedanta, I mean the philosophy of Vedanta says that you just don't stop this exploration. You go more and more deeper into your own personality and see whether there are other possibilities which will make your life more meaningful, more happy, or more peaceful, or more relevant. Otherwise, if with all the skills, if we die, there are cases where many of the most successful people also have committed suicide because they simply did not get joy, or they did not know how to get joy. Though they were skilled, because they were too busy with developing their possibilities at the level of the body or at the level of the prana or at the level of the mind, which made them highly skilled human beings without the other two possibilities, without exploring the other two possibilities. They felt that they are missing something in life. They cannot sleep well, perhaps they could not get the joy that they were seeking through the development of their lower personalities. So, till you exhaust exploring the human possibility, that is why Vedanta is a science. It is not a, it is just like psychology or any other physical science where you don't stop the exploration. No science tells you that you have reached the end of knowledge. Even in physics, when you say that if somebody says that he has reached the end of exploration in physics, he'll be terribly wrong because we have hardly explored anything. To go deeper into the subatomic level, you find newer and newer discoveries. Every time a new discovery is made, it contradicts the earlier ones. You make changes. That is how science progresses. Even medicine, you can't say that you have reached the ultimate possibility in medical science. There are many more possibilities which may not be true now, but more research will reveal those possibilities to you. Similarly, Vedanta says, why do you exhaust all the human possibilities at the third level? That is why they have made a systematic study of human personality, starting with the physical possibilities, mm, uh, the possibilities of the pranamaya sharira, which makes you a strong individual using the forces of the body to your advantage, developing yourself physically and also making yourself strong through gymnasium exercises. These are just exercises that make your prana stronger than other human beings. But then, if we stop there, then there is only physical development. That's why we speak of skill development, the development of the manomaya kosha, or the third level of possibilities which we start exploring. And then we, in that, when we find even that is not sufficient, then we go, our Vedantic scientists or the scientists of the Upanishads, they discovered a higher possibility, which is the development of the Vijnanamaya kosha, or the subtler levels of the mind, which are very much necessary to make a life balanced, happy, because they saw a highly developed mind does not ensure happiness. If happiness is the goal, if joy is the goal, which is obviously the goal of everyone, nobody wants to be unhappy. So, in the search of happiness, they explored the still higher possibility, which gave them a little more happiness than the mere skills that they develop. When they learn to use the skills that their mind was trained to uh, perform under different sets of circumstances, the mind has many skills. It can make itself highly skillful in any branch of knowledge. But at the same time, since the scientists, the psychologists of the founders of the Upanishads and the wisdom of the Upanishads, they thought still why is man not happy with all this development of skills if he's not getting what he is seeking, the joy which he's seeking, if he's not getting, then he should explore more. Is there any other way he can develop himself more so that he can be more joyful? So he comes upon the fourth level, which is the Vijnanamaya kosha, and even that, when it does not satisfy his quest, the quest for happiness, he goes and finds the Anandamaya kosha. So that is how the progressive, you may say, level of exploration leads to different possibilities, even in this very life. And the highest possibility is to be eternally joyful when you merge with that. That is the greatest discovery the rishis or the scientists of the self. They they came to the conclusion that even while one is living, one can even transcend the Anandamaya Kosha and all the possibilities that are inherent in that. And when you uh, transcend that and when you reach the real self, which is the goal of all human endeavor, because they found there's no greater goal than that, the discovery of the true self. So that there the different possibilities, they find their culmination. And when you reach that, you can say that you have reached the goal of your life. So that is why the goal of life, whether you say it is nirvana, whether the Bible says it is uh, reaching the kingdom of heaven. What do you mean by the kingdom of heaven? It's the same thing, reaching the highest uh, place where there is eternal joy. That is the concept of heaven the Bible has. So when you say the kingdom of heaven, it is nothing other than the bliss that you get when you reach your own self, the real self, as opposed to these lower levels of our existence. So, or Buddha may say it is entering a state of nirvana, which will take you beyond misery. He starts without any such theories. He just says he has found the root cause of all misery. And since there is misery, one has to get rid of misery and immerse oneself in nirvana, which gives which removes misery once for all. So that is the same goal explained through a different process, a slightly different process, but everywhere you will find the same approach, exploring higher and higher possibilities and leading to the ultimate goal of life. The goal of life may have different names in different religious traditions or spiritual traditions, but ultimately all of us uh, uh, reach out to the same goal. Any questions on that? We have a few minutes. Any question? We'll conclude. The next time we will take up another topic. Uh, Next time we will come to the psychological aspects of human personality. We now just gave a discussed all the different possibilities, but we need to go into more detail in one particular aspect of our personality, that is the mind and its ways. Because we found that our spiritual life begins with the training of the mind, Manomaya Kosha and Vijnanamaya Kosha. So, what is the need of investigating into the nature of mind? Swami Vivekananda said in his introduction to Raj Yoga, he said all the sciences are very important for human development, but the greatest science is the science of the mind or psychology. So it is the king of all sciences. That is why he described the yoga of meditation as the yoga of the, it is known as Raj Yoga. Raja means the king of sciences. So knowing the mind and its ways, how it can make or break us, how it can, the mind is the first step that we have to deal with. Body and the prana is okay. We know enough about the body and the prana. We can handle it very well. But when it comes to the mind, we lack the knowledge. First of all, we don't inquire how the mind uh, works, how it functions, how it can be controlled, and that investigation in the very nature of mind, which is known as psychology or the psychology of yoga, Raj Yoga, is the king of all sciences. So next time we'll see, because the human mind and its knowledge of its nature, its possibilities, its how to, because every person's happiness, unhappiness, knowledge, ignorance, strength, weakness, everything, right mode of living, wrong mode of living, everything depends on the mind. Through the mind, which is a window to the world, he is either happy or he is unhappy. So the need, the basic need of exploring into the nature of the mind, everybody's mind behaves in the same way. There are no exceptions. That's why Raj Yoga claims to be a science which is equally applicable to everyone. Everyone who has a mind, if he experiments according to the principles of Raj Yoga, will find solutions to all his problems. So that is why Buddha directly doesn't even discuss about God or existence of God. He says, I'm only concerned about the mind because the misery that you feel is in the mind and the happiness also is in the mind. So let us take care of the mind and its development. That's why in all traditions, the mind and its ways and how to wield it, how to control it, and how to use it as a positive force in our life, we'll discuss in the next class. Okay.
Asking when will the Raja Yoga class will resume?
Resume. Raj Yoga class, as I told you, we do it once every month. It is done by a group because I'm doing it once every month. It it is we are doing it on both on Zoom as well as I think we have that Teams, Microsoft Teams. Yeah, it is a Dublin group. Uh, they organize it in the third week of every month, third Sunday morning. It's a Sunday morning class, as you all are aware. There are 6 talks which you can see. The Raj Yoga, if you see our YouTube channel, there are 6 talks which are already we have given. I am keeping it separate from these talks, the Saturday and Sunday talks, which are on Vedanta and the science of human possibilities, Bhagavad Gita on the alternate Saturday, Great Master Sri Ramakrishna, the Great Master on Sunday, and the alternate Sunday is Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Apart from that, Sunday morning around 10, we have this class which is there on Google Meet. Sorry, it's not on Teams, it's on Google Meet. Simultaneously, it is on Zoom, our Zoom link, and also YouTube Live. And I combine it with the Dublin group. So the next class will be announced soon. If you just see the website, all our regular classes are mentioned there on the website. So we'll begin when they are ready, when we are ready. Maybe it will be on one Sunday morning. Maybe this month it may not be possible, but next month onwards it will begin. Yeah. We already have completed 6 classes which are there on our YouTube live on the YouTube channel of our ashrama. So if you just go through those 6 classes, then it will be easy if you want to join on for the 7th session. Okay. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.